This is our research library and archives, and we are actually in the reading room of our research library and archives. Today I have pulled a few things from our archives, a lot of photographs, some ephemera. We have a few three-dimensional objects as well. And I will tell you the story of Pasadena as best as I can. It was all started when a group of people in Indiana, they were very tired of the really cold winters there, and they decided they want to move to a warmer weather. So this group, led by Dr. Thomas B. Elliott, he recruited with a few other people his brother-in-law, Mr. Daniel M. Berry. Daniel Berry came to Southern California to look for a land with plenty of water supply that they can cultivate and settle a colony. So he came to Southern California and did an extensive search for this perfect piece of land, and was very tired, and at the end of the 35 days he finally came here, right here, and he fell in love with this place, and he found his land. So this was in September of 1873. They wasted no time. In November of same year, they established San Gabriel Orange Grove Association. A few people came together, pulled their money, bought land, and immediately they started cultivating land. They planted grapevines, they planted citrus, started building houses. These are very early pictures with vineyards and orange grove or just citrus groves. This area was known with many names, such as California Colony of Indiana, Indiana Colony, San Gabriel Orange Grove Association, Muscat, the grape, from the variety of grape they wanted to grow here. But they wanted a really good name. So Dr. Elliott, actually, he wanted a name which would mean crown of the valley or key of the valley or higher point of the valley, and he wanted that name to be Indian. So he actually talked to people back home in Indiana, and he was suggested Pasadena, which meant off the valley, in Chippewa dialect of native Indians back in Indiana. They thought, oh, that's great name. It perfectly describes the location, and it sounds beautiful and euphoric. So they chose that name, and Pasadena was born. Los Angeles and San Gabriel Railroad came to Pasadena in 1885, and that made Pasadena very accessible. So at this point, Walter Raymond, he recognized the need for luxury hotels for the eastern tourists coming from all the way from the east to escape the winters. And he started building the first Raymond Hotel, the first luxury hotel in Pasadena in 1883, and it was finished in 1886. So that's the first Raymond Hotel, which unfortunately burned down in 1895 on Easter, and the second was built in 1901. But after that, many luxury hotels started springing up in Pasadena. Maryland Hotel, Hotel Green, Vista del Arroyo, Huntington Hotel. These were all luxury hotels, and Pasadena actually became a resort city where all the rich people and wealthy people were coming to spend their winters here. Of course, the weather was beautiful. The climate was perfect. It was warm but not too hot. It was dry. So it was really good weather and climate for people with any respiratory diseases. So Pasadena became a place where Easterners and Midwesterners were coming to get away from cold winters to the resorts. And then they started spending winters and started falling in love with this place. And then they started moving here. Many of them built beautiful palatial mansions on Orange Grove Boulevard. Actually, we are on one of grounds of one of such mansion built by millionaire Mrs. Eva Scott Phineas. She was a matriarch, artist, and a very successful businesswoman. With influx of all his wealth, they also needed middle class and working class people to work in the hotel industry or serve people, these rich people in their homes. So Pasadena Board of Trade started actively advertising Pasadena, and they created beautiful brochures like these about Pasadena. Beautiful Pasadena, California, and beautiful streets, the Orange Grove Avenue in Pasadena, where people can find work, and a beautiful Colorado Street Bridge, which was built in 1913, and it was one of a kind in those days that had a curve in it. There was no other such bridge at the time. And then there were all these resorts. That's a Maryland hotel. And they also were trying to entice people to come to Pasadena with these kind of advertising brochures and city guides and city tours. So luckily, most of these early settlers of Pasadena, since they were from Midwest and East, a lot of them were Union veterans and abolitionists, sons of John Brown, famous Harper's Ferry raid leader. His sons, Jason and Owen Brown, they also came to Pasadena and made the hills north of Pasadena their home. The early black settlers in Pasadena, they did not really, they faced very little discrimination, and they had access to most public institutions and accommodations, which of course changed later when people from all over United States and abroad started coming in, and then the blacks in Pasadena also started feeling the discrimination and prejudice, not probably unlike any other place in the country. So jumping in 1980s, we have actually the museum reached out to the black community in Pasadena and created a beautiful documentary called Changing Rose. So in the process, many distinguished personalities and families in the black community were identified and interviewed. And as a result, the result was the beautiful documentary and our wonderful Black History collection. In 1940s, the population was growing, and the first black-owned hotel was opened in Doty Block in Pasadena. And it was like I said, it was Hotel Carver. It was first black-owned hotel. There were other businesses as well in the same building. There was a barber shop. There was Onyx nightclub, which served wonderful Creole cuisine. The hotel was operated as a family business. Percy Carter and his sons operated Hotel Carver. So now blacks had a place to stay when they came to Pasadena, very close to the Green Hotel in Pasadena. There are many success stories. There were many people, important people doing important things in the community. Earl Grant was one of those people. He was a real estate agent, and he started Family Savings and Loan Association after he realized that blacks cannot get any loans from the banks. So they started this bank, which was very successful. And so here are some pictures. That's a groundbreaking for the bank, and that's the building. And the building was actually built by an African American architect called Paul Williams. He's a very successful architect. He was the first member of American Institute of Architects, and he actually had built a lot of houses of Hollywood celebrities and other important buildings like YMCA building on 20th Street in Los Angeles. This is Ralph Riddle. He was the first police officer in Pasadena, and he joined the police force in 1946. Actually, people have been trying to apply for those kind of jobs from early on, but in 1946, he became the first police officer. He was a product of all Pasadena schools, and he was very successful, and he paved a way to these kind of jobs for the rest of the black community. So Ralph Riddle was also great friends with Ray Bartlett. Ray Bartlett came to Pasadena when he was only 6 months old, and just like Ralph Riddle, he was a product of all Pasadena schools. He was always at the top of his class, or near top of his class, and he won many awards and accolades throughout his career and actually lifetime. He played all four major sports when he was in junior high and in high school. He continued playing baseball and football at UCLA with Jackie Robinson. He was his childhood friend and a lifelong friend. Ray Bartlett was a very accomplished man. He worked, he went to he served in the United States Army in Second World War. When he came back from the war, he joined the police force with Ralph Riddle. It wasn't easy for them. It was difficult in police, not with the public, but they had difficulty with other police officers. But they pressed on, and he served for 20 years as a police officer. And then he started working with Warren Dorn, LA County supervisor, as his deputy. And he also then he retired as a public information officer of Los Angeles Fire Department. And as I mentioned, he really won a lot of awards and accolades throughout his lifetime. He also was a Grand Marshal at Tournament of Roses, and he was representing Jackie Robinson because he was given that honor because he was his best friend. This is not the only collection in our archives that represents minority community. There are a lot of things on other minority communities as well, scattered throughout our collections. One great example of that is right here. And this is a story of Yu Anderson and Esther Takai. She was a teenager during the Second World War. And they were, during the Second World War, all the Japanese people of Japanese ancestry were interned. And Yu Anderson fiercely fought for the rights of Japanese Americans during that time. He also worked with Friends of the American Way to bring back Esther Takai so that she can be enrolled in school and will be doing what any girl her age should be doing. And he was actually successful in that endeavor. She came back to Pasadena in 1944, and Hugh Anderson family, along with his wife and 4 kids, they welcomed her in their home till her own family came back to Pasadena. It was very nice that actually she got a good reception at the school. Pasadena Junior College welcomed her. There were many people who welcomed her at the college, but there were also other people who didn't like that she was there. Hugh Anderson actually wrote in his press release, and he said that only 10%, less than 10% of the people actually didn't like these actions, which actually speaks for the Pasadenans, that they were tolerant people. And actually, I would like to read this paragraph, if I could. The other complaint shows an opposition to all people of color, our Chinese allies and our Negro neighbors, as well as persons of Japanese ancestry. Intolerance based on race difference is such a complete denial of the principle for which our American soldiers are fighting that it is not strange that practically all of these messages were anonymous. I have absolutely no sympathy for people in this country who deliberately try to stir up race hatred, as has been the case to some extent with a few of the statements in regard to Miss Takai, a loyal American. I think this is a wonderful, successful story. He also helped the family when they came back to secure an apartment and help them as much as he can. So this actually brings, I just want to emphasize once again that this is only a little part of our collections, and we have collections on all Americans, including Mexican Americans, Chinese American. We have a collection on that too, and scattered throughout our collections there are things on minority groups, which is again part of our overall collection, which are basically on Pasadena and Pasadena history and arts and culture and sciences.